What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here with Majors Academy Dog Training. Once again, this is Dog Behavior Q&A episode 150. Wait a minute. I think it's actually 160. I think last week was 159. So I think I got stuff messed up, mixed up. Um, we are here live, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We're here to answer any and all questions you may have about dog behavior. There are a lot of myths. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There is just a lot of information, period. And what I would like to do is maybe give you some feedback from a person who works on the front lines, which just means I start every dog from A to Z. I don't have other trainers. It's just me. I get to know the dog very intimately, and I also get to know the situation between dog and owner very intimately. So I get a doing that. I gain a good grasp on um, what I hear often and what is normal, what is not, and so yeah, that's where my opinion comes from. Just I love talking to people. I never think any situation is redundant. I always talk to whoever I'm talking to and try and get a personal feel from where they're coming from. Yes, I do hear things over and over again, but there's still some things that are unique. So we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and we're going to talk about unpredictable dogs because I get a lot of calls and a lot of people claiming that their dog is unpredictable. And I want to put that to rest because my opinion is that there are no such thing as unpredictable dogs um, if certain things are in place. First and foremost, okay, unpredictable dogs are the most obviously they are the most dangerous dogs. There's a picture floating around on Facebook right now of a child, a little boy who stepped in front of his sister and took an attack from a dog. I don't remember what type of dog it was. I'm not quite sure. But he had to get 9 stitches on his face. I just want to keep things in perspective for you guys. There are a lot of dog bites. The majority of those dog bites um, are children. And I'm really tough on that because I don't like children getting bit. But the child had 9 stitches on his face, and the owners said that they don't feel any bad feelings about what went on from the owners of the dog, and that's a shame because that sort of gives the dog owners an out. That dog was very aggressive towards that child, and that dog, in my opinion, would not be safe for society, and the dog should be put down because there are dogs out there that are not safe for society, would hurt a child or anyone for that matter, another dog, very severely. There are people, there are dogs, there are children that do get killed by dogs every year. You can look it up in the CDC. This is just the reality. I hate to be a Debbie Downer right now, but that's just the truth of it. So if you feel like a dog doesn't feel safe for you, it's okay not to engage with that dog. It's okay not to. It's okay to put up boundaries because there are dangerous dogs out there. There are few and far between, but they are out there. So when it comes to unpredictable dogs, in my opinion, unpredictable dogs have the mindset of there's no consequence for me, it's kind of like the real arrogant, bratty person who thinks that they can do what they want. There's very much so that happens a lot in society today, where people have too much power that they don't think the law pertains to them, and they do crazy stuff. Same thing with dogs, man. If a dog doesn't think that there's no reason for them to think twice about their actions, then no behavior is off the table. That's what makes them unpredictable, because they can pick and choose who they like, who they get along with, and there's no sort of pattern. That's what makes them unpredictable. I just had a couple come, and I evaluated their dog, and they said it didn't matter they couldn't really narrow down why the dog was aggressive towards certain people. Didn't matter if it was male, female, talking people, short, tall, doesn't matter. And so unpredictable dogs really get to pick and choose when they become aggressive, assertive, no matter, and you can't really put a pattern to it. So the reason why they are the most dangerous is because that same reason. They they can do whatever they want whenever they want. And sometimes people call me and they say, well, the dog bit out of nowhere. There was no telling what happened. Like, I could not figure out what happened. And what you have to realize is that aggression just doesn't come out of nowhere. And just because your dog act aggressive in that case doesn't mean your dog was good the other 99% of the time. That's the other thing I get. Oh, 99% of the time he's good. Well, we got to reevaluate what you think is good, because you're building, when you're allowing your dog to be quote unquote good. What does good mean? Does good mean the dog actually isn't causing harm to others, or isn't being aggressive? Is that what you classify as good? Because that's not what's good. Does your dog bark its head off? That's not a good dog. Does your dog jump on people? That's not a good dog. Does your dog listen to you when you say come? That's not a good dog. Does your dog get resource aggressive over the food, or beg at the table, or assume that it can get possessive over the bed? That's not a good dog. So all those things we have to, it's my job to sort of, he had 90 stitches. Okay, my cousin just told me it was 90 stitches, not 9. Holy crap. I hope you guys haven't seen that that picture, but it's crazy. Crazy. 90 stitches. My Lord. Little boy stepped in front of his sister and said, if someone's going to die, it should be me. That's what the little boy said, trying to save his sister's life from the dog attack. That's crazy. All right. We can get to some questions. Uh-oh. Those of you who are just joining in, this is Dog Behavior Q&A, episode 160, I believe. It's mislabeled. But feel free to ask as many questions as you like. We are here until, I don't know, until we run out of questions. Let's see what we got. Here's another myth that I want to sort of address. And this is pretty important because, again, this is something that I get a lot from people calling. All right. So just because your dog is nervous or aggressive or separation anxiety or any behavior problem that you can think of, if your dog is experiencing it and you adopted that dog or you rescued the dog, that does not mean that the dog had a bad past. People way too much assume that their dog has been abused. If it doesn't if it doesn't take to the first man that the dog encounters, then people say, "Oh, he must have been abused and hit by a man." Or uh if the dog if the dog doesn't I don't know. There's just so many of them. Um but again, if your dog has some sort of behavioral issue, it's not necessarily because the dog got abused, because I have trained both at about the same rate, which means I train rescue dogs that don't have a past, that have a past that is questionable, and then I also train dogs that come from perfectly good homes, and there's no big difference. There's no distinction except for when it comes to separation anxiety. I'd probably give it to the rescue dogs, because especially if rescue dogs have come from like a humane society, you can kind of tell that they get a little anxious uh, while they're in the crate, um, and when you come and go. So again, just because your dog is even cowering doesn't, doesn't mean necessarily that your dog was abused. I don't want people to think that because the dog had a bad past, to give the dog excuses as to not make help the dog move forward past anxieties, insecurities, and whatnot. And just because your dog does not like um, strange dogs doesn't mean it can't like dogs that it can eventually get to know. There's a lot of dogs that are comfortable with dogs they know. That doesn't mean they're dog aggressive, because if they were truly dog aggressive, then the dogs would not get along with any dogs whatsoever. But that's not true. If your dog gets along with one dog, then it has the ability to be social. It just needs the right time. Yep, he saved his sister. That was awesome. That was great. All right, any of you guys who are watching, please feel free to ask any questions that you like. Um, yeah. Let's see what I got in the kennel. I got a Newfoundland, a a Bergeron. I need some validation on that one. But and then I have a German Shepherd. German Shepherd is human aggressive, and the other two are dog aggressive. One's dog aggressive on leash, and the other is dog aggressive with their sibling in the home. So if any of you guys have questions about dog aggression or leash aggression or human aggression, feel free to ask. But I wanted to hop on here and just talk about unpredictable dogs because, again, I get a lot of phone calls about saying that the dog is unpredictable. But when the dog has freedom, so much freedom of choice at such a young age, then of course they're going to be unpredictable because they can do what they want when they want. That's the key. If you start adding some rules, some boundaries, then the dog becomes a lot more predictable. For example, if your dog charges the door and bites people, and then you teach them how to go lay down when people come in, I bet you your dog can be very predictable in not charging the door and biting people. You can tell the dog to go lay down, it does so, and then you can invite people into your home. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to um Bilbo, Australian Shepherd Bilbo Baggins. I trained him, I don't know, probably 5 years ago. It's his birthday. He's 6 years old. Australian Shepherd. I do get Australian Shepherds quite often. They are a herding breed. They can be a controlling breed, and sometimes they can get in some trouble. You know, So, all right, guys. Well, listen. Hey, if you guys don't have any questions, I know I usually am on here by 8 o'clock, but today I decided to go ahead and get this done, or just talk about what I wanted to talk about. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't have any questions anywhere else. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to get out of here. But please feel free to ask any question you like. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Well, I haven't worked with a Newfoundland in a long time. I've got a Newfoundland who is fighting their Basset Hound. And he's big, big and strong. Big, strong, young. And uh, this is, my goal with him is really trying to get him to engage with me, because big dogs are difficult in the sense where if they want something, sometimes they just put their head down and just go. Like, who's to stop them? You know, on leash or off leash, especially if you have them on leash, they can just pull you around. Who's to stop them? And that's what I'm seeing a lot from. His name is Clyde, the Newfoundland. He just sort of says, if I want it, I'm just going to go. Like, I'm just going to go. And it's like, wait a minute, dude. Calm down. You have to work through the excitability. It's just as important to work through stress as it is to work through a dog's excitability as well. Hey, Scott. Hope Maisie's doing great. It's both sides of the coin. You know, training that you can find nowadays, that's what's popular, they're going to reinforce excited behavior. But that doesn't really work with a dog who has aggressive tendencies or even separation anxiety. Because when the dog is excited, it's called eustress, which is the opposite of stress, but it's psychological stress in the form of excitement. You still want to work through that because it is not behavior that is controllable. You do not want to reinforce an excited dog that has aggressive tendencies. And so when I let this dog out of the crate, he gets very excited, which is typical. But right then and there, I have to bring him to calm, because that's what's going to help the dog through even the aggressive side. Getting the dog to realize that when I want you to be calm, you need to be calm, just so that you can think your way through what you see as a stressful situation. That's what's good about, I would just say, behavior modification. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. All right. Looks like we got some questions coming in. Okay. How can I get my dog over fear of the noise made by weed eater? She's also terrified of noises like buzzing on TV, even inside the crate. When she hears these noises, she will jump around, freaking out, and ends up peeing. Oh boy. Well, when it comes to fear of things like that, your best bet is to get the dog to try and take you into account. When the weed eater starts to go, when the buzzing starts to go, um, how responsive to you is the dog? That's what you have to change. We have to be able to reach the dog in those moments, or just in moments more overall, to get the dog to actually be able to think about something else other than how those noises are affecting them. And so that's what it's about. You got to reach them for them to actually learn, to teach them. And so I've got a dog. I've got a German Shepherd that is that will go after car tires, bicycle tires, whatever it may be. Some dogs choose to be controlling when they feel there's something going on that's out of their control. Um, so the dog needs time, but the dog also in that situation needs leadership. Needs you to say, "Hey, there's no reason to be freaking out. Do this." Whether that be go lay down, whether that be sit, or whether that be quiet, whether that be whatever it may be. If you can get the dog to listen to you in those moments, then the dog will start to turn the tide um, when it comes to what it thinks about or how crazy those noises are to it. Okay, so bottom line, dog has got to take you into account when those when those noises occur on TV or the weed whacker, whatever it is. So try that. I can give you some tips on what to do technically, but that's what's got to happen overall. All right. Thank you for your question and feel free to ask another. She's been doing great, but we are finding that she's really good around our neighbors. But sometimes when our neighbors walk away, she jumps and tries to bite hands, not full on bite, but not good either way. Correct her for it. E-collar, correct her for it. That's her being controlling. That's the breed. Do not let her do that. Okay? Guide her. Say, no, go lay down. Absolutely not. You know, do not take that. Um, she should be able to respect people walking in and out of your house, no matter what's going on. Just tell her to stay if she's on a bed, or when your guests get ready to leave, that's when you put her on her bed and tell her to stay, and then you let your neighbors leave. All right. All right. Thanks for your question, and feel free to ask another. Uh, Alex says Clyde has separation anxiety. He knows when we're leaving. If we grab our keys or put on shoes, he runs to the door and does not want us to leave. When we get back, he gets so excited he wants to give everyone a hug. What are some tips for separation anxiety? And how can we work on him not jumping when we walk in the door? So, when you leave, give him something to do. Tell him to go lay down. He needs to be calm in that environment. I mean, in that situation, that's going to tell him that when you leave, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not a big deal. You certainly can't say goodbye and give all these hugs when you leave. You can't do that. You're going to get the dog worked up, and that's going to leave him in an anxious state when you leave. And then when you come, do the same thing. You must get calm in that situation. As soon as you walk through the door, tell the dog to go lay down on its bed. That will stop the jumping. But the dog has got to listen to you. And if the dog does that, then the jumping will stop and the separation anxiety will stop as well. All right. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another. All right. Stephanie says, one time we had a trainer who realized that one of my dog's problems is that he's afraid of hands. For example, when she starts talking and moving her hands, he was getting more stressed. Well, maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's the animation that the dog is getting more stressed of, maybe not necessarily the hands. So when people are talking and they're just talking blah 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 blah, and then they start doing this, right? You know, they start like, hey, hard here, or blah, blah. They're talking with their hands. That's, in my opinion, it's not necessarily 100% a hand situation, more so than added animation, added pressure. Some dogs don't take well to a lot of animation, body movement, a lot of fearful dogs. Didn't matter if the person would be doing this or the dog or the person maybe would talk if it was possible. If the person was talking with their feet, the dog would probably do the same thing. Person was talking with their elbows, the dog would probably do the same thing. It may just be the added animation. It may be just the energy, that's coming from um, the person that talks with their hands. So maybe not. You know, maybe not. Maybe so. Either way, guys, any stress that the dog is experiencing, you've got to be able to be who you need to be in order to get your dog through that stressful situation. Dog shouldn't be worried about hands. Dog shouldn't be worried about neighbors coming in and out of your house. That means the dog can be manipulative to who you have over. That's bullcrap. That's not why you got a dog. You got a dog to be social. You got a dog to be You want a dog to be social. You want to be able to have people come in and out of your home. You want people to feel comfortable in their home. You don't want to accommodate to your dog to that extent. That's not good dogmanship. Your dog should be accommodating to you and your lifestyle, because the dog doesn't run your household. You do. The dog doesn't get to pick and choose who comes in and who talks how. Like that's catering to them way too much. The dog should also, it's a fair relationship. You give the dog what it needs, and they should actually give you some good behavior as well. That's the thing. I'm going to repeat that. You give the dog what it needs, then you should expect good behavior. But if you're too accommodating, the dog will be able to pick and choose and be very manipulative with with and that's what results in unpredictable dogs. Coming full circle there. So I hope all that makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to give me ask a question about it. But yeah. So if your trainer, if you had ever hired a trainer for your reactive dog, aggressive dog, um, oh, we got a question here, or a statement. My dog is not social, and I feel it's hard to train him because we don't have family or someone to come in at home and practice whatever trainers show us to do. Well, it's not necessarily important that you have people over. What's more important is how well the dog listens to you when there's nobody there. You can solve all problems. You don't need guests to solve problems. You don't need other dogs to solve problems. What you need is a stronger dialogue with your dog, between you and your dog. You need a stronger dialogue. If I feel that my dog is being uncomfortable when someone's talking with their hands, if he becomes stressed, I'm gonna go tell the dog to go lay down, no, or whatever it may be, and then the dog listens to me, and then that's squashed. It's done after that. But the key is getting the dog, being able to reach the dog in those moments, and that you can do with just you and the dog. You don't need anybody else. But because when it's just you and the dog, you allow things to go on, or you don't follow through. Not you, I'm not picking on you, but just saying overall. But this is how it starts. When people are at home with their dog, they come home from work, and I get it. You're tired. You just want to eat. You're hungry. You want to have a beer. You may not necessarily want to follow through with what you need to follow through with, or you're feeling guilty that the dog has been in a crate for some time, and you say, "Huh, let him on the couch." You say, I don't want I don't want to get up and tell him to go lay down, or I don't want to stop him from barking. I'm not going to get up and stop him from barking. Let him bark." So there are things that you can do when it's just you and the dog that go on that you can help establish the necessary relationship that you'll need to have for the dog to get along with anything. Then you don't have to take into account, oh, we need to socialize our dog with people. Oh, we need to socialize our people with our dog with other dogs. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, we need to do that. More importantly, yes, that's important, but that's secondary. More importantly, does the dog listen to you? Um, period. And at a high level. That's what needs to happen. And I know that it is not easy. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing, which is why they have professionals to help bridge that gap. So, those of you who just joined, please feel free to ask any questions you like. We are live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and we are talking dog behavior and unpredictable dogs. In my opinion, there are no such thing as unpredictable dogs. If you have an unpredictable dog, you are not giving the dog enough rules to respect. Because if they respect rules, there's no way that they can become unpredictable. Okay. Are you training dogs right now? Yes, I am. I'm training a Newfoundland, a Bergeron, and a German Shepherd. And, ooh, ooh. Hey, friend, is today Thirsty Thursday? If so, what are you drinking? I'm not drinking anything. Not today. I've already had a couple. So, all right. Any tips on ensuring more consistent recall and leave it? Yeah. Go get up, walk towards them, grab them by the collar, and bring them wherever you want them to be to come. So when you let the dog out, or if anywhere, it doesn't matter. If you tell the dog to come, give it a couple of chances verbally, let the dog ignore you, and then once the dog does actually ignore you, go get the dog. I think I got a question on Instagram. Not a question, but anyone listening that has a stubborn breed, be consistent. Remy is proof that a clear boundaries, time, and patience are key. We also use the e-collar and tether training. Thank you for that, Jessica. Pretty good. I like it. But yeah. So when it comes to recall, go get the dog. Give them two chances not to listen to you. Once they don't listen to you, go get them. Period. And then you can go get them and sort of be mad at them. You can be upset. Like, hey, I know you heard me. Come in the house. Dog's not going to necessarily want to deal with you being upset with them. So they're going to choose to come to you. It's a very basic, very reliable way, but takes the most effort. Um, your dog will come to you. What's an easy way to train a puppy to come? With treats in a high pitched voice. My dog's best friend, my, my dog's best dog friend is not always the best behaved. I'm trying to train my dog to do better, to be a better behaved. Should I keep him away from his bestie? I don't know. I don't know. It depends on what what the dog's bestie is doing. Is the dog bestie biting the hell out of people? Then probably, I don't know. You'll have to give me more details so I can tell you. You staying with them? We are from Milwaukee. They're staying with me. Yeah, the dogs are staying with me. Our Doberman is really good, great overall. Thank you for that. But when he isn't invited to go outside and hang out with us, he tends to whine incessantly. We do make sure he's calm, correct him, and use the e-collar. Any other tips? Yeah. Um, so make sure when you go outside that and you leave him in there, make sure it only happens or it doesn't only happen when when guests are over. If that's the case, if the only time you keep him in the crate is when guests are over, then he is going to tend to stress a little bit more. But so start doing that when there's no guest, if that's the case. If it isn't, I could probably give you some more tips, but I'll just wait until your neighbors to give you some more tips. How about that? All right. Let's see what else. No. Uh, about resource aggression, I think. Oh, any tips in ensuring more? Where did that go? Where did that question go? Any tips ensuring more consistent recall and leave it? Yeah, leave it is also you got to kind of be physically active if you stay with them. I do stay with them. Yes, I stay with them. Leave it is also sort of being very animated with your body language. If you want the dog to leave it, then you possess whatever it possesses. And you sort of stay there until the dog moves away from it. So if a dog is investigating a stick or a toy, put your hand on it and don't move and let the dog go. All right, well, I can't get it. And then use your word, leave it. And then you'll start to be able to use the word leave it without going over there or without touching it and the dog move away from it. All right. Let me see if I got them all. Hmm. Yep, looks like I got them all. All right, you guys, I've talked enough. I don't like to talk that much. I'm about that action. Um, please give me a thumbs up, a like, or subscribe. I don't really know what to say there, but thank you guys for watching. We'll be here next week. I'm gonna give an actual. I'm gonna give a an email sent out or a post about the dog training Q&A. But I kind of like popping up spontaneously sometimes. So I appreciate all the questions. Feel free to um, feel free to check in next time with us. All right. Thanks for watching. See you later.